everybody, welcome back to Garden Time with Belle. Today I'm out in the garden and it's about 55 degrees this morning, but the sun is out and it is gorgeous. So today's project is to make sure that my perennial beds that surround our house are ready for my son and his landscaping company to come in and do some of the heavy work. This year, instead of me edging things in and doing all the mulching myself, I thought, I have a lot of other projects I'd rather be working on, and why not hire my son and his crew to come out and do that? My son happens to own his own landscaping company, and typically they do really beautiful landscaping projects. They do a lot of the hardscapes, so tiers and retaining walls and, flagstone pathways and all of that. But today I've asked them to come and edge everything in nice and sharp between the grass and the beds, and then lay a nice layer of mulch down. This is the time to do that. It is mid-April where I live here in Zone 6B, mid-Missouri, and so I want to get everything ready for the season. So what I've done already is I have gone around all of my garden beds and I've made sure I've weeded everything. First of all, if you can jump on top of the weeds in the spring and get them out of your garden, you're going to be much better off come summer. So I have tried to get most of the weeds out of my garden beds. Then I have made sure my drip irrigation tubing is where I want it by kind of putting it down and getting my little staples or stakes that I've shown you and driving those in to hold that drip irrigation tubing in place. And then the next thing I did was I made sure I did a general purpose, all-purpose fertilizer for all of my perennials and shrubs that have come up. I've treated all of them with fertilizer to get them off to a good start. So anyhow, I think I've done everything I can do on my end, and pretty soon, hopefully, the guys will show up and take care of making things look a lot more beautiful and fresh for the season. I will take you around here in just a minute and show you sort of the before, and then when they finish the job, I'll come back out with my camera and film the after of the beds. Keeping in mind, it's only mid-April here, so I have a lot of things that are just beginning to show new growth and their return for the season. So anyhow, let's come along and let's take a look at some of my beds and look at the before. So here's one of our beds around the house that they're going to be working on today. And you might have seen me in one of my previous videos plant 3 Limelight Prime hydrangeas. I'm so excited about these. They, I think, will get, I think it says 5 to 6 foot tall and 4 to 5 feet wide. And this bed, actually, if I back up a little bit so you can see all of it, this bed is about 14 foot wide, and at its deepest parts from the house, it's about 7 foot deep. So anyhow, my plan here is to have those grow up and be gorgeous, and then I'm going to be planting in a bunch of the things I'm growing from seed in the greenhouse right now. I'll have celosia in there. I will have agastache, some salvia, gomphrena. So I'm going to try to pack it full of new little seedlings, but I won't be planting those in there for probably about a month now because they really love the heat. So this is one of the beds that is going to get a refresh today. So next on the list is this little narrow bed that you can see here that runs off the back of the house that is just filled with a nice collection of hostas. Let me get up here and show you a little bit closer look. You got to see the ugly before you see the pretty. So anyhow, you might be able to see some of them coming up. Oh, you can see I definitely did not get the weeds out of here. This is grass, but hopefully Colin and his company will take care of that for me, or I might come back real quick. You can also see where not only have I put some fertilizer down, actually this is Sluggo. It's really great to throw some of that down in case the slugs try to attack your hostas. I found that to work really great. So yeah, so this is another view of that bed right there. So it's going to look way better. It's awful, the edges right now. So up here on this little narrow bed, and you can guess what those are. Those would be my lovely peonies, some cat's pajama nepeta right there that the hummers and pollinators really love. And then up here I have, ooh, and it's starting to flower, I have false indigo or baptisia. I've got blue sapphire and a yellow, blue sapphire and a yellow, blue sapphire. Let's see if I can come in and the wind's not too bad. I hope you can hear me. But let's get a close look at just beginning to open. If you can see the yellow on these, and ooh, here, oh, here, this one, look at that one. It is opening. Blue sapphire, I believe, is the color of that one. I've also got Russian sage. It's coming back. It's looking pretty puny. I think I've got another Russian sage right here. And I have a horrible time with coneflower, except the coneflower that comes up over here. We've got a 2-acre pollinator habitat that this will be its 3rd summer, so we're expecting great things. The coneflower grows great up in there, but I just have a worse time up in here. So anyhow, yeah, so you see how rough that edge is? Oh yeah, that's gonna look so much better in a short amount of time. So I'm still here on the south side. I showed you down here where my baptisia is and some of my peonies. This is a south-facing wall. And so right up here, this is a box my hubby built for me, I don't know, 4 years ago now. It's just a little raised box. It's oh gosh, 20 feet long, about 2.5 feet deep. And this is where I grow a lot of zinnias for cutting. And they love it here because it gets plenty of sunshine and lots of heat. So you can see how bad this bed looks in terms of, there's some landscaping fabric around some of the biggest trees, but anyways, so this is going to look way better as well. Again, it's another windy day, so I apologize for the audio, but wanted you to see right here in front of this window, I'm going to have his crew pull out those 3 shrubs. I'll have to look up the name of them. Honestly, I can't remember. They've been in the ground about 3 or 4 years, and this year they are not coming back well at all. They look just awful. They should be way more flushed out, and I've checked many of the stems and branches and they're crispy. So I don't know what happened, but this is west facing. This bed here. So they're going to pull these 3 out, and I have asked him to bring me 2 North Pole arborvitaes. They'll go here and here. Many of you know about the North Pole arborvitae. It is a beautiful evergreen that stays narrow. It stays between 3 and 5 feet wide, and it can get upwards of, I don't know, 10 to 15 feet tall. So I thought, wouldn't that look great? And as we come over here, of course, there's some more flower beds. Now they've got grass on one side, but most of this, the rest of this is flanked by our sidewalk up to the front door. So anyhow, they'll be mostly just mulching that area and getting it to look a little bit prettier than it does right now. And again, I have fertilized everything, all my shrubs, my clematis here that you can see, my jackmani. I have Gertrude Jekyll climbing roses. I have these obelisks here, and this will be Gertrude's 2nd year. I just planted them as bare roots last year, and they even last year did remarkably well. So I needed something tall and narrow for this little this little narrow bed. So these will get a little update as well. Just wanted to give you a little close-up view of this Gertrude Jekyll. She's looking great. Growing up. Can't believe that this was once a teeny tiny bare root rose that was maybe 10 inches tall. So as we come around here, you're gonna see something that if you watched my recent videos, you're gonna remember this guy Say hello to Mr. Mikawa. He is our dwarf Japanese maple that my husband and I just planted not too long ago. And he is surrounded by 4 hostas. Great expectations, and I think these are Big Daddy. These babies get huge. And then of course I've left room here in the front of the bed where I'm going to be putting in some annuals for big pops of color. And this is sort of a north facing side of the house, but I can have shade up close to the house, but the further, of course, you get away from the house, the more sun there is to grow things on. So this really needs some help. Look at that. Oh. So here we are. We've almost made it all the way around the house. And as I mentioned, this is the north side of the house, but this little point that sticks out by this retaining wall here holds 3 little quick fire, I think. Ooh, I'll have to look it up. Hydrangeas that I planted. This will be their second summer. Yeah, I just planted those last summer, early last spring. And so here they are, and I'm hoping good things about them. And as you all know, when you plant perennials, it takes about 3 to 4 years for them to really show off. So I have big expectations for this second year for these beauties. So again, you can see I've got my drip tape down where I want it, because in between these hydrangeas and over in this blank space, I'll be putting in some gorgeous annuals. You know, I love who doesn't love the Proven Winners Vista series of petunias that I grew some here last year, and they exceeded 3 foot in diameter. One plant, they just took over. The Vista series is phenomenal in the landscape as well as in pots. So this will be much prettier in about a month or so when I am able to put in those annuals that'll give big swaths of color. So
Everybody,
yeah.
it is the next day, the day after my son and his crew came in and edged in all of my perennial beds around the house and laid a beautiful fresh layer of mulch. Oh, I am breathing a sigh of relief that that project is done. I don't have to have that hanging over my head. And as I mentioned yesterday to you all, spring is, of course, the best time to get your beds ready for the season. Just a really quick recap before I show you the after. And that was before they came in, I made sure that I weeded all of these beds. Very important to do early in the spring. Get that done and get on top of weeding. I weeded. I gave everything a very good dose of slow release all-purpose fertilizer, and then I made sure that I had my drip irrigation set where I wanted it. And you've seen my drip. I used the brown drip tubing, the 1/4 inch with emitters every 6 inches. And so I stake that down in a certain pattern to take care of the plants that are in the ground. And I'll be popping in some annuals and perennials as well here in about, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks and get them started. So anyhow, you know, if you garden and you mulch, you know that there is nothing like how things look when everything has a nice fresh layer of mulch. They did such a great job that most likely I won't have to have a full remulch redo for at least 2 or 3 years from now. Meanwhile, of course, I'll be paying attention to mulching in between when I have a spot, you know, that needs a little extra TLC. So anyhow, I'm going to turn the camera around, walk you around these different beds that I showed you yesterday so that you can now see the after. Well, now we're coming up on the front of the house, which faces west, and one of the most exciting things, not only did they cut in the edges by hand with shovels, look at that beautiful edge, that little swoop, but I had them plant 2 North Pole arborvitaes, and there they are, there and there. As you probably know, North Pole arborvitaes get 4 to 5 feet wide at the most and 10 to 15 feet tall. So I thought flanking that window would be beautiful. I need your help though. I'm wondering what I can put in between here. I want either a beautiful shrub rose of some kind, or I'd like something like a Weigelia, a dwarf variety, something that's colorful and gives us seasonal interest. So let's come around here. Oh my gosh, you guys. While I was filming out back, I must have gotten an order and didn't even hear the truck. Oh my goodness, look what's on my doorstep. Oh gosh. If y'all know about proven winners, you know I am so excited to see these boxes. I will take you along on an unveiling of what's inside, but just a little tease, I ordered several of their outstanding annuals for my garden. So anyways, whoo, I can't wait to see how they look. Okay, that's for another video. All right, so here's just the little very narrow front bed. I've never liked this front bed in terms of the design. The folks who built the house, obviously, and put in this sidewalk, we're not gardeners, we're not landscape architects. I mean, just look at that green grass, the sidewalk, the dark mulch, and all these beautiful shrubs and roses. Oh, can't wait. And last but not least, the north-facing garden. North side of the house. You got to see my husband and I put in our first Japanese maple. We've never had one before, but we thought this would be the perfect spot for Mr. Mikawa. This is a dwarf Japanese maple who promises in the spring and the fall to give us gorgeous golden, yellow, and orange leaves. Behind this, I've got my Great Expectation hostas. They've been in this bed for about 3 or 4 years at least. And the Big Daddy hostas. This one's not as far along, but I promise you a month from now, oh, this is going to be bursting. And you know the proven winter boxes that were on my front porch that I just showed you that arrived today? I'm thinking this is going to be filled with color from some of those plants I ordered. I don't think I showed you this yesterday when we made the rounds, but this next to our AC unit, this is a little cluster of astilbe. And proven winner, something beautiful or something beautiful is going to go there. And so as we move down to this spot, last little spot I wanted to show you that they mulched and edged in, and these are 3 hostas that I planted last spring for the first time. Now, what are they? My goodness, they only get about 4 by 4 feet tall and wide. I can't remember. I'm going to put it up on the screen, but they were the plant of the year, I think, a couple of years ago by proven winners. So anyhow, so thank you all so much for hanging out with me today and coming along as I did a little show and tell, the exciting before and afters of the project that my son and his crew tackled for me, and that would be cutting in a fresh edge around my entire house with all of those shrub and perennial beds, as well as laying down a beautiful fresh layer of mulch to I hope you enjoyed today's video. I enjoyed taking you around the house and showing you some of my flower beds and perennial beds and shrub beds that you hadn't seen before, as we got to look at the after. And oh, I just couldn't be happier. So thanks so much. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe. And as always, happy gardening.